What's up, everyone? Eli here. Louis is just right here. Um, yeah, welcome to the channel. As always, Sunday morning. I'm aware that I look like a bag of shit, but at least I feel like a bag of shit to match it. Um, 10 CDs to show you out of my collection. Nothing new here. This is kind of cool. Out of these 10 CDs, there are actually 8 bands this time. So I think it's cool to show a little bit more variety. The last couple, have been like one or maybe 2 bands here and there. But yeah, this one's kind of a little bit more exciting just because of the variety. Breakfast of Champions, Rockstar, a habit I've tried to get rid of in the past, and I've kind of slowly buying these stupid things again. It's when I'm too lazy to make coffee. This coffee's so hard to make. This weekend I've been watching a lot of movies. It's been kind of a movie weekend. Not that I have a whole lot else to do anyways, but for the longest time I felt kind of like kind of a slow process of like I'd been watching more YouTube videos and more series on TV, like short things. I think with technology and the internet becoming more prevalent in our lives, I think our attention span has suffered. I definitely for me, and definitely even a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I know have noticed that. I think it's a bad thing, man. So I've been trying to kind of like go back to my old self. I've been reading more, watching more movies, trying not to pull my phone out, watching an entire movie without fucking around with my phone or, whatever. So I watched. These are going to be in a collection update, so I shouldn't be showing them now. But I watched I Sell the Dead. Just bought it. Fun movie. I also just bought Lost After Dark. Not as fun. Cool cover, waste of time, waste of $6. But I also finished reading the Sam Harris book, so I'll be working on a review for that. So I'm going to start reading another book today. Keep that ball rolling, I should say. Anyways, on to the CDs. We're going to start off with a band that this band has a cool history. They started out in something like 91 or 92. They recorded like a rehearsal, but they weren't happy with it. Something like that. They weren't happy with the band direction, and then they were quiet for like 20 years. Fuck, maybe more than that, 25 years, and they made a comeback probably 10 years ago or so. And they've been fairly popular ever since. We got Entrails from Sweden with Raging Death. This is their 3rd or 4th album, and I gotta say, I think it's their 3rd album. It's the weakest of what came before it. It's just not that good. It's not bad. I mean, if you like stock Swedish sounding death metal, just to the bone, then this could be for you. But as someone who's gotten kind of tired of that sound, and I need some variety. I need something fresh, and this album just didn't do it for me. This came out 2013 on Metal Blade Records. They've put out like 3 records since then. They've been putting out like one every like 2 years, and they've put out better albums since then. So they've kind of, like I said, their first 2 albums are really good, and they put out some gems since then. So I just felt like this one was a little bit, I don't even know if I want to say uninspired, just a little bit more just stripped down Stockholm Swedish death metal, and it's just it just doesn't do a lot for me. I don't know how you guys feel about this one, but that's me. Then we got an album that I picked up, I think earlier this year. I had been wanting it for a while, and a buddy of mine was selling it, so I, of course, jumped right the fuck on it. I don't think it's super rare or anything hard to find necessarily, but it is an old one. Estuary of Calamity with The Sentence. This band continued on for a while, known as just, they dropped the half of their name, they just were Estuary. I think until not too long ago, or they might even still be going as Estuary, I'm not sure. This came out in 99/2000. I'm not sure what that means, but main draw of this band for me was, of course, Ash Thomas. This is a Cleveland area, not Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati. I always say whenever there's a band from Ohio, I always think probably Cleveland. I always forget that Cincinnati's a big city too. So you hear more about Cleveland. I don't usually hear about metal from Cincinnati, but I'm sure there's plenty. So anyway, Ohio, melodic death metal. But Ash Thomas, I've talked about Ash before. This is young Ash right there. Ash Thomas is a gem, in the death metal scene. He's been around since the early '90s at least. Playing in bands, and he's fucking great. He's a drummer, he's a guitarist, he's a vocalist, songwriter, and he's just phenomenal. Everything he does is good. He seems like a cool guy as well. So this band is like a melodic death metal, almost with touches of like melodic black metal as well. You might call it that, as lots of keyboards. There's some female vocals in there. You can see Ash wearing an Emperor shirt. Clearly these guys were listening to black metal. So I think a little of that seeps in. I would call this predominantly melodic death metal, but I think there are some slight black metal touches as well. And it's a cool album. If you like stuff like I hate to throw this out there, but like real early Children of Bodom, that's not far from what these guys are doing here. With the neoclassical shredding, and there's a lot of elements that some people might consider cheesy. Like I said, there's some female vocals, lots of keyboards and pianos and stuff, and it's not going to be for everybody. But if you like that kind of stuff, it's a fun album. Next, we have Germany's Eternal Dirge with their second album, which they're much more usually known for their first album. But this is their second album called Chaos Magic. I don't even remember what that first album is called because I don't own it, but I've heard it, and I think it's a little better. This came out, this is a promo copy, but this came out on a SPV. I don't really recall the year. I'd have to probably take that out and look through it. I don't really want to do that. Early 90s, but not the real early 90s. Okay, right here. Here it is, 95. Okay, mid-90s. Came out in 95. It's a decent follow-up. I feel like this one's a little bit more experimental sounding. I haven't spent a ton of time with it. I can't really give a detailed review, but it's pretty good death metal. I just remember thinking that their first album's better, and this one's a little more experimental sounding and just not quite as good. The first one was kind of, not a straight simple death metal album either, but this one kind of furthers that, and I just don't like it as much. Also, you hear people talk about their first one, and you never hear anyone talk about this one. And there's probably a reason for that. I'm not going to say, why doesn't anyone ever talk about this? I'm the only one. I'm the only one that ever talks about this album. No, I'm not even going to do that. It's not the case here. But this next band is a band that I don't really ever hear anyone talk about, and I'm not saying that I'm surprised or anything. There's a fucking million metal bands out there. They can't all be popular, but I think this band is pretty cool. What turned me on to them is I heard a clip online or whatever, and it really reminded me of Mystifier. I'm a big Mystifier fan, and so I had to order something from them. And they're from Brazil. And one of the guys actually was in Mystifier for a while. So, they have connections to Mystifier. And so I'm talking about Eternal Sacrifice. They've been around since the early 90s as well, kind of like Mystifier. And they've got a good handful of albums. They're all long and hard to pronounce. This is a cool slipcover, by the way. And once again, I like when the slipcovers don't match the album cover. I think that's cool. Cool cover art. Stuff. Look at those fucking song titles, dude. Mystifier will do that too. But these guys exceed even that. So the album, Illuminados por Thanatheris Aleph Music. Yeah, why did I do that? First of all, it's clear. It's probably Portuguese since they're Brazilian. I thought they had. Yeah, they do have English song titles, so they got stuff like Alcandro and the Magic Circle of the Practice, Secret Enchantment, and his Pagan Rites on the Alki-Nam's Kingdom. The Epic Phase 1. It was like a Prog song. The Epic Phase 1 Prelude. The Athame Neon of Hierophant. Part 1, Phase 2, Yasim, Operetta of the Sacrifices, O Ilo Dorado. Holy shit, dude. It goes on, and I'm not gonna go on. It's like a paragraph. It's literally a paragraph. That's crazy. So this is one thing I don't really remember. Okay, that's just a long fucking song. There's 11 songs here, but that one happens to be really long. Some of the other ones are just like the ancestral dance of Thelema Abbey. The nymphs are asleep. So pretty long, but not as crazy as that. Man, track 6 is nuts. It's literally like the most epic prog sounding thing you've ever read. Wow. Anyway, this came out on Blasphemy Productions. I don't remember what year. Early 2000s, mid 2000s maybe. But yeah, just think, okay, they call themselves opera, pagan, black metal art. Fair enough, really. I mean, just think Mystifier. You know, they definitely sound like Mystifier. I don't think I really have anything to add other than that. I think this guy right here, Costafus, yeah, he was in Mystifier for a while. I think he did I think he was vocals and keyboards. I think something like that. But I remember he did a good job. He added a nice touch to Mystifier. He's in the band for a couple of years, and yeah, man, if you like Mystifier and stuff like that, Brazilian, occult Brazilian black metal, check out Eternal Sacrifice. They're cool. They're good. They got this is the only album of theirs I have, and the only album of theirs I've heard. But I can imagine their other stuff is good too. But you let me know. Next, we have 3 albums from Sweden's Evergrey, one of the few power metal bands that I really like. This is their debut, Dark Discovery. This is a cool cover. Not an album that I like from them. I mean, I do like it, but not nearly as much as what they would do for the next 3 or 4 albums. So, anyways, this came out in '94. I guess this is a repress because it says originally released in '98, which, from what I remember, that sounds spot on. So, Evergrey are a Swedish kind of progressive power metal band. Really, really good at what they do. Super good musicians. They're known for having a really unique sounding singer. His name is Tom England, and he's got, when you first listen, when when someone tells you hey, they're a power metal band, check them out. You put it on, and Tom's vocals come on, and you're like, whoa, that's not what I was expecting. It's like a smoky, almost like Bob Seger-esque voice. Imagine if Bob Seger was a power metal singer. I mean, that's not far really from what he sounds like, but he also plays guitar. Everyone in this band are they're all top-notch musicians, and that's been proven throughout the years. The progginess, they're not super proggy. They're more of a power metal band with prog touches. They have a keyboard player. They will sometimes write concept albums. They're a band like that, but they're not they're not writing, usually not 15, 20-minute songs and crazy, just all the touchstones of prog. They don't have that. They don't sound like Yes or anything like that. Mostly a power metal band with kind of think like Camelot. They're kind of like Camelot, actually. Just picture that. Picture a very different sounding Camelot, but the same kind of song structures. I think mostly what holds this album back is the production. The production is very dry, and it's just very poorly produced. If it had a slick production like every album they would do since this, I think it would be a lot better. So maybe if they remastered this, maybe it's been done and I just don't know. But a remastered version of this, I think, might shed a lot of light on maybe how good of an album it really is. So that is their first album. I think this is their second album, but I could be wrong, man. I think this might be their third album, but I'm not 100% on that. But this is when they really started to get really good. Maybe not really. I think they had a second album that was really good. But they had an album, Search for Truth, I think it was called. It was a really cool concept album about aliens and like alien visitation and alien abduction and just alien stuff in general. Really fucking good. I think that might have been their second album. I think this might be their third album. I'm just going off what I remember. It's been a long time since I paid a lot of attention to this band, but in the like mid 2000s I was really into them. But yeah, Recreation Day. I'm gonna go ahead and say I think this is their third album. So this is not where they started to get really good, because they started to get good before this. But this album was kind of like maybe the culmination of where they were headed. This album was super popular among fans. It's probably considered a classic in, that prog power metal scene, the Inside Out Records type stuff. This is considered kind of a minor classic, I would absolutely say. And it's really good, man. But the production is what it should have been on their first album. Even their second album sounded good. Their first album was just kind of, it happens with first albums. Bands don't have money and stuff. This one just starts off with just neoclassical shredding. Starts off with a guitar solo. And it's a great guitar solo, and it just kind of sets the pace for the rest of the album. So neoclassical shredding, as I've said, all over this album. Tasteful, guitar solos. Fast songs, lots of emotion. It's just a really, really good album. So this album would be like their fourth album. So this came out in 2004, just 1 year after Recreation Day. To a little bit less critical acclaim. The fans were a little bit harsh on this next one, although this is my personal favorite of the band. And there are reasons for that, but it also has some downfalls. So we're talking about the Inner Circle. This album really hit home with me because, not that I was ever in a cult or anything, but not far from it. I grew up, until I was a teenager, I grew up, in the fucking Christian church. Stopped believing. I started having serious doubts as like fucking probably 6-7 years old. By the time I was 16, I was fucking done, and I never returned. So this album is about a dude who is in like a serious religious cult, and it's about him, having doubts, and then I don't want to spoil it, but he ends up, he has doubts, and then he ends up finding out that it's all a sham, and his whole life has been, wasted on it, and it's a concept album. It's really cool. One thing that a lot of people didn't like is the guitar playing style on here. Like the riffing is different from before. It's really like chugga-lugga riffing, but it's still proggy. It doesn't sound like nu metal or fucking metalcore or anything like that. It's just weird. It's just really simple chuggy riffs. I don't know why they did that. So it's like the riffing is less complex, but everything else is still complex. But I think those chuggy riffs turned a lot of people away. And I'll admit, even for me, the first listen was like, oh, I kind of don't like these riffs. But I mean, they're not bad. And like I said, it's just something that they were doing. I think there's no. It's not a nu metal thing, or it's nothing like that. It's just I don't know, but it's got some really heavy emotional stuff on here that will move you. And there's a lot of passion put into this. There's like sound clips of preachers, preaching damnation, and even like there's, I don't know where it came from. I don't know if they had a voice actor do it or if it's an actual audio clip, but there's like, audio clips of like, there's basically like a preacher character, that does like sound clips throughout the album, and there's like parts of him breaking down and, learning that he's been scamming people, and yeah, it's pretty heavy, in more than one way, but I really like this one. Oh man, this one's gonna blow some minds. This is the only, I love this band, but this is the only thing on CD that I own from them, for the time being at least, which is odd, but we got Exciter with New Testament. Now, this is, Why they chose to do this, I don't know. But this is one of the rare occasions where I think that band re-recording their classic songs actually kind of works, because that's what it is. It's considered a full-length album. I don't know why, at least on Metal Archives, it's not considered a compilation, which it should be, because that's literally what it is. I don't think any of these songs are new, but it was a new lineup. This was after Dan Beehler left, and they had what's his name, Jocks something, who a lot of people give them shit like, oh, no Beehler, no Exciter, but I think this guy did a fucking great job. Dare I say, he's a better singer than Dan Beehler, at least on a technical level. Just kind of like how, Ronnie James Dio was a better singer than Ozzy. Of course that's an opinion, but I'm talking like on a technical level. Dio was just a technically better singer than Ozzy. That's kind of like how this guy was with compared to Dan Beehler, is more of a just a classical style heavy metal singer. Like he could do stuff that Beehler couldn't. Not to say that I prefer him, but I liked the band with him. The Dark Command. I thought the Dark Command was a great album, and a lot of people just didn't want to give it a chance. But yeah, I think these re-recordings are good for what they are. Actually, I do like listening to this from time to time. So yeah, this came out on Osmos. I don't remember what year. Probably late 90s or something like that. I don't really see. But yeah, I like it. Is it mandatory for anyone's collection? Fucking probably not. But I do like listening to it, believe it or not. Next, we have a band that you might remember. They seem to have been kind of quiet lately, but I think they're still active, and I think they're still releasing stuff from time to time, like at least on a minor level, like maybe singles and EPs or whatever. We got the U.S. thrash band Evil Army. I think this is their only full length. Came out on Hell's Headbangers, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so. These guys were from the South. I don't remember exactly where, but yeah. Out of like all the modern thrash bands, these guys were one of my favorites. You might remember there was a little bit of controversy, and I hate to bring it back up, but it was a lot of controversy on Facebook for like when they were touring. They got accused of like stealing equipment from some local band, and it was kind of a big fiasco. But I wasn't there. I can't say if they really did it or not, but it's people were pissed. And like I said, after that happened, you really didn't hear much from them. They have done stuff since then, but not a lot. But anyways, really good thrash, raw, vicious, kind of crossover type thrash, but not super punky, but just kind of straddling the line like a lot of thrash bands do, of like thrash and punk. I don't know, maybe not quite crossover, but a little bit crossover. They're a little bit punky. Most thrash bands have some punk influence, but some just have a little bit more. These guys have a little more than a standard thrash band would, but not quite. They're not quite like DRI or anything like that. You can tell they probably do worship DRI, but good modern thrash, and I don't say that a lot. Next we have one of the best albums from was this 2019 or 2018? I think 2018, because I think this definitely made my list, if I remember correctly, because I didn't do a 2019 list, but we got Hypnagogia by Evoken, Profound Lore Records. Evoken are a cult doom death band out of the U.S. East Coast, is it Pennsylvania? Or no, it's New Jersey, I think. Pretty sure it's New Jersey. But these guys are as classic as a band from the U.S. can get. This is the only album I actually own from them, though. I've heard them all. Definitely. Is there no booklet? Or did I lose it? Sad. I feel like there was probably a booklet in there, and I don't have it now. Fuck. Anyways. Well, that's a bummer. But, yeah, I definitely need to own more from them. Like I said, I've heard them all, but I fucking love this band, man. doom death metal of like early My Dying Bride type doom death. It's phenomenal. I think this is as good as anything they've ever done. I remember reading reviews when it came out, and then it seemed, they seemed to all be really, really positive. And I was happy to see that